Hello beautiful people and welcome to another episode of my weekly vlog. This week I want to talk to you about something very simple, which is the biggest challenge that anyone will face in show business. And by anyone I mean the common folk, the mere mortals, because if you start out in show business as already, the child of some executive or big star, then you already have a very different experience. So this might not apply to you, but the rest of us trying to build it up, this is the daily reality, right? And obviously the traditional wisdom always says there's going to be a lot of rejection coming your way. That is a statistical reality. Again, most parts that you audition for you will not get. Even the biggest stars out there, they have dozens of auditions that they just don't get. And it's nothing personal. It's just something you have to keep in mind. This is not a personal thing. It doesn't mean that you're not, your skills are not good enough. Sometimes it's simply a thing of like, well, we've got this person cast, who would work well with them, who would look well with them on screen. Sometimes it comes down to your height. Your co-star is taller or shorter than you. Things like that, like you can't control. We know many stories where the second choice in the second actor, the first one either turned it down or they took the part and they had to drop out. The second choice made it theirs and they became a massive success afterwards. So it's there's no shame in not getting a part, and there's no shame in being a second or third or fourth choice for a part, That's just how it goes. But that is not the biggest challenge. That's the funny thing, because even a no is still an answer. And I think you might just realize where I'm going with this. Even if you receive a no, you can still say, 1, I was seen. 2, I've just made an introduction by putting my work forward. The best business card is a great audition, The biggest challenge that you will face is actually just no answer at all. It's just complete silence. Just what feels like you're being ignored. And going forward and, keep working away hard, in spite of minimal or sometimes non-existent feedback. Now that is a challenge. And it's very important to have your motivators, your inner motivators lined up for that. And you should be aware of that. As I was mentioning, the reason it's easier to handle a no is because they've seen your work and you can just say, okay, a no means not yet, which in many cases is true, because once you get your skills to the right level or your level of recognition, the buzz around you, the audience that you've built up, then, you sooner or later, in most cases, there will be a role that you match skill-wise, audience-wise, and that's you. But when you don't receive an answer, which, to give you an example that I know personally, I email about twice a year 220 something casting directors. Just send out an email into the ether like, hey, this is me, this is what I've been doing. If you have anything coming up, let me know, keep me in mind, all the best. Out of those 220, I normally get a reply to maybe 20 of them, and let's say like between 5 and 10 of those are automated replies, right? So let's say 10 to 15 actual person going, hi, thank you very much for reaching out. I have seen your content, or I have watched your show reel. I might not have anything at the moment, but I'll keep you in mind for something else. I think there was only one time where I sent this email out, I got a response, and it was, actually, I have something in mind for you. You want to audition for this and this. I didn't get the part, but 1, I got a reply, and 2, I got to actually audition. That is like the statistic at my level, at which point people actually say a yes or no to me, right? Now, to be fair, in this industry, because there's so many of us, there's so many people trying to do this, and they receive so many emails, it is very difficult to get back to everyone, right? And you have to accept that. And the way to deal with it is by going, just because they didn't reply does not mean they didn't see it or watched it or whatever, right? They just, at this moment in time, did not have the extra time of going, hi, thank you, right? And this applies to YouTube as well. You know, you do videos and stuff, and then, you know, you'll get some views, you'll get a dozen views, sometimes you get 50, sometimes you get 1,000, sometimes you don't get, you know, you get less, you get 2 or 3, some of this stuff. So that's probably the biggest challenge that you face, and I'm contextualizing this in my head, and I'm trying to deal with it, and I have been dealing with it, and I think there's 3 things you have to keep in mind. The same way as with a no, meaning not yet. Just because you didn't get an answer does not mean that you did not get your foot into the door, first of all. Secondly, it's normal. The numbers show that it's normal. Like, statistically speaking, you're going to spend a significant amount of time doing a lot of work for very little feedback. And that is very difficult sometimes, especially if you're motivated by outside validation, which is a whole different conversation. But yeah, so just that's a very difficult thing to do, but you have to do it. You have to be aware of this. If you're someone coming into this industry, just be aware. This is normal. It will happen. Like, to give you an example, I started actively training in acting back in 2012 autumn. So that's when I decided I want to give this a go seriously. I started in a youth theatre group, then I moved to the UK, started going left and right studios. I auditioned for RCS. I did not get in. I was not good at the time. Then I kept, you know, working around the UK and studying even more, and then doing the course. And I finished my course in 2017, December. So 2012, you know, that's 5 years and a bit of just me trying to get my acting to a point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to enter the industry as a professional. Not a lot of feedback, with other students. That was a bit easier in one respect because I could feel myself getting better. But there was a lot of, frustration. I was like, I thought I had this, but then I don't, and learning, and but it's just the motivation kept me going of like, I know I can get there, and I won this, and when it works, it's fantastic. So I want to do it. Those 5 years end, I took a year off. Then 2019, I started acting professionally. Now we're in 2022, so almost 3 years and a bit. This is where I am now. And, now I'm starting to get a bit of buzz. I've been doing the YouTube stuff. I've got projects left and right. Now I'm still at, just past the entry level. But, that's, what are we on now? 9 years, almost 10 years. Yeah, actually, it's going to be 10 years this autumn, with a year off. That's just been me just grinding away, trying to get stuff done. And the feedback has now been increasing in the past couple of years because I've been creating more stuff on my own. But there was a lot of time of me just working in not relative silence, but, bare minimum feedback. So that's what I'm saying. It's normal. The third thing which you have to keep in mind, which is sometimes it's not that there's no feedback. Sometimes it's just you want it to be more because you really want to get there. So your mind starts going, yeah, but it's like, what is that? 12 views? What is that? Well, it's 12 more than nothing, isn't it? And I'm saying this into the camera, but I'm also saying this to myself. This is something to keep in mind, that from time to time, wanting to be at the top or just getting there already can get in the way of actually doing the work at your level, at the phase where you are at the moment. So you just got to keep reminding yourself, even when you feel down, that this is a transition. You're at the point where you're supposed to be, or where you could be at this point, at this moment. And you're just going to have to accept it. You're going to have to recognize when you're playing games, your mind is playing tricks on you. Your ego's going, yeah, but look at other people, how well they're doing, and what's happening over there. And you got to take a beat and take a step back, zoom out, and just go, 10 years ago, I was nowhere. Look at me now. This is a marathon, not a sprint. That's the other age-old wisdom that we're told in this business. And just contextualize your successes, however small they may be. The fact that you've created and put something out there is a success already. You can't motivate yourself by other people's feedback. You can't measure yourself by other people's feedback, which I've been learning over the past year and a bit, just aggressively. So yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge, to keep in mind. One of them is, working with bare minimum external feedback. And the second one is the inner mind game of what if this and what if that, but what about other people? Learn from other people, but keep in mind you did not start in the same place as other people. So you do you, and as long as the journey is pleasurable to you, keep going. That's been my TED Talk. Thank you very much for watching this week's episode, and I'll see you on the next one.